Sir, why did you not coordinate with Israel on this, knowing they're staunch allies of the United States, knowing the recent history of the October 7th massacre? And most importantly, why did you decline to meet with Jewish survivors of the Hamas terror attacks on October 7th?
The ambassador is lying. We did inform.
Sir, at a certain point, if everybody is lying, but just, sir, you have now said the ambassador is lying, the IDF is lying, the U.S. Embassy is lying. At a certain point,
the U.S. Embassy I praised. I praised the U.S. Embassy. The ambassador is blatantly lying.
Representative Ro Khanna was detained by Israeli settlers first with American-made weapons, and then he was detained by the IDF, and the road was blocked. And we've got a lot more to this story, including the reactions, some of which you just saw there with Fox News. Of course, everybody who works there works for Israel. So the way they viciously attacked Ro Khanna was borderline hilarious because of how obvious they made it that they work for Israel. We'll come back to that as well. But before we do any of that, first, I wanted to get your reaction, Marjorie, to the detention itself. So a US congressman, and he said that they were laughing and saying that who cares that you told the American embassy? Basically, the settlers and the IDF were intimating that America has no power over us. We can do anything we want to a US congressman and there won't be any consequences.
Yeah, and the tragic thing is they're pretty much right. I mean, it was outrageous. I cannot believe they did that to a United States congressman. He should have never been treated that way. Our so-called greatest ally should never hold and detain one of our elected officials that serve in Washington, D.C. And I watched a lot of paid MAGA influencers attack Ro Khanna, and they were saying he had no right to be there. That's not the California district that he represents. Those aren't his voters. And they were attacking him for all kinds of things. But here's the reality. The people in Ro Khanna's district, their tax dollars go to Israel. And the people in Ro Khanna's district are sick and tired of the genocide and sick and tired of America putting Israel's interest over their district, over every district in the entire country. And so good for Ro Khanna for actually going there, because this is one of the top issues, and the establishment media and the establishment Washington, D.C. press and the government itself doesn't want that to be the case. But the reality is you go talk to regular Americans on the street, pretty much in any district, in any city, in any state across this country, and they're fed up with it, Cenk. They're sick of it. And that is all kinds of voters. It's not just the left. It is the right as well. However, it's Washington that is trying to change the narrative, and they wanted to make Ro Khanna be the bad guy in that case. And I don't think he was the bad guy in that case.
No, so he's trying to find out how we're spending our money. And he found out we're spending it by giving it to a bunch of terrorists who mock us openly.
Yep.
And they use the weapons that we bought for them to detain not just the US congressman, as we'll show you later, they also attacked a CNN crew in a completely different instance, and four other Americans who were with Ro Khanna. And by the way, some of them were Jewish Americans, and Israel doesn't care about that at all. They don't care about religion. They're all nationalist zealots. And so first, let me just show you what happened to Ro Khanna in the West Bank. Let's watch.
As a congressman, I never expected to be the target of settler violence. But when we visited a school in Zenuda village that settlers had burned down, we were detained by settlers wielding M4 guns who blocked our van from leaving the site. They called additional settlers for support and held us captive for 75 minutes, recording videos, laughing at us, and mocking me and my staff. I will never forget their faces. What angered me most is that the IDF soldiers who came to the scene supported the violent settlers over American citizens.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've heard that story from a lot of Palestinian Americans, but our media doesn't care. Our media 100% supports Israel. And in that Fox News interview we showed you in the beginning, if you watch the whole thing, it was an amazing sight to behold as the anchor kept saying, why would we believe you? The Israelis have said the opposite. So we believe the Israeli government more than our own Congress people? And so let's share that with you guys. And here's Ambassador Leiter and what he had to say about this.
We reached out to him when we heard he was going to Israel, the Israeli embassy here in Washington. As all congressmen do, they coordinate their trip with the Israeli government. We suggested he visit with survivors of the October 7th massacre, that he visit the borders so he understands the issues that we have on our borders and so on. He ignored that, and he decided to coordinate his trip not with Israel, but with Palestinian activists and with J Street, which is a anti-government, anti-Israeli government advocacy group here in Washington. So, he coordinated.
It's a Jewish lobby group.
Well, it's
that is supportive of a different path for Israel.
Yeah. I play tennis once a year. That doesn't make me a tennis player. Congressman Khanna has made no secret about his antipathy towards the government of Israel as well. So perhaps if he would have coordinated the trip and then, to have this incident on Wednesday and wait to release it on Saturday, maybe this had more something to do with his support of Graham Plattner beforehand and the difficulties he had with that and trying to shift the focus to something else. Perhaps I'm asking a question.
Instead of apologizing for what they did to a US congressman, he does a political attack against him and mentions Graham Plattner. He says, why did he release it a couple of days later? Because he was still stuck in Israel, a terrorist fascist state, where they threaten him with guns. If he releases that when he's still inside Israel, God knows what they do to him. And he knows that. Did he tell Israel that he was coming? Absolutely. He told the Israelis, he told the US embassy. That's what the Israeli ambassador is lying about. How many of you guys are guilty of doom scrolling late at night on social media, looking at the news and then wondering why you can't fall asleep? Nothing pairs worse with trying to wind down than a bright screen lighting up your face and headlines playing on a loop in your head. Here's what's actually happening. The stress, the screen time, it all raises your core body temperature. And a body that's too warm can't get into deep sleep. Trust me, getting your sleep environment under control can change everything. Enter ChiliPad 2.0, the water-based mattress topper that actively controls your bed temperature from 55 to 115 degrees all night long. No new mattress, no renovation. It actively cools using just water. Fans only move hot air around. ChiliPad actually pulls heat away from your body. Precise, consistent comfort, and the new nightstand remote senses when you get into bed and kicks on automatically. Dual zones mean you and your partner each set your own temperature, no subscription needed. You get a 2-year warranty, and they're designed and assembled right here in the USA. Visit www.sleep.me/TYT to get up to $255 off your ChiliPad 2.0 with code TYT. That's www.sleep.me/TYT. Free shipping, free returns, and a 30-night trial so you can test it out, dream big, and wake up better. The headlines will still be there in the morning. You might as well wake up ready for them. Did he meet with survivors? Yes, on earlier trips with Israel. But the only thing he didn't do here is Israel demands that you sign up for a propaganda trip where they block you from seeing the horrors that they have done in Gaza and the West Bank. And he coordinated and told him he was coming, but he didn't want to go on the propaganda trip. He wanted to see what's actually happening in the West Bank. They're like, how dare you? Get back on the propaganda line, okay? Well, he didn't, and that's why Israel's now attacking him. And J Street is a Jewish American lobbying group lobbying on behalf of Israel, but a better version of Israel. And even that's not enough because you have to be a Likudnik, you have to be a radical lunatic Zionist in order to satisfy Israel. But that's not all. Before I go back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm gonna show you one more just to give you a sense of how much all of the establishment said. Now, as Lindsey Graham passed, they're like, oh, beloved US Senator, we all love US politicians. Oh, a US politician got humiliated by the Israelis and held at gunpoint. Shut up, American politician, you're irrelevant. Only Israel's relevant. So now here comes Kathy Manning, a former congresswoman who now serves as I love this portion of the AIPAC umbrella groups. She serves as the chair of the Democratic Majority for Israel. And then when you challenge them on it, they're like, no, how dare you say we're working for Israel? It's in your name. It's in your title of your group. Okay, listen to this person.
I was concerned about the incident Congressman Ro Khanna had in the West Bank. I'm relieved that he and everyone traveling with him are safe. I have said many times that settler violence is unacceptable. It's wrong, it must be prosecuted, and it undermines Israel's security and the prospects for peace. At the same time, Congressman Khanna's trip had all the hallmarks of a political stunt rather than a genuine effort to understand this complex conflict. If your goal is to learn, you don't seek out only one perspective. It is extremely disappointing that Congressman Khanna didn't take the time on this trip to meet with Israelis living along the northern border who have endured relentless attacks from Hezbollah. Nor did he meet with the victims and families whose lives were forever changed by Hamas's October 7th terrorist attacks. Those voices also matter, and any sincere effort to understand this conflict should include them.
Okay, so it's important for you to understand that she's lying, and she's lying on purpose. And they put out like this pleasant-looking woman. Oh yeah, well the settlers are a little problematic, but he wouldn't meet with the hostage. No, that's a total and utter lie. 3 different times Ro Khanna went to Israel and did the normal tours that they do. And not only did he meet with the hostages hostage families during the Gaza crisis, he fought super aggressively to get the hostages released. Now, Democratic majority for Israel and Fox News both know that, but they choose to lie about him on purpose to try to smear him as someone who doesn't care about those people. So, Marjorie, I've seen a lot of nonsense photo ops, especially at the border, where both politicians from both sides go and they look at the border as if they're gonna learn anything from there, right? It's just an invisible line. Like, okay, if you go to visit a facility or something, maybe you get a context. So I'm not saying that there aren't nonsense photo ops in politics. There are a ton, right? But in this case, he's going to see a village that was destroyed by the Israelis. They say you're not allowed to see the places we've destroyed with your money. You're not allowed to see the Palestinian American family who was murdered. The American was 21 years, it was a young guy who was murdered. I think he was about 21 years old. And you're not allowed to see his family. You're not allowed to see their destroyed property. I don't know anything that was less of a photo op and an actual fact gathering mission, and a fact gathering mission that no other American politician is allowed on by the thugs and terrorists that we finance in Israel. So what's your take on this? Is twofold here. Number one, photo op or as relevant as trip as you could have in foreign policy. And then secondly, what do you make of the entire establishment turning on Ro Khanna and clearly all supporting Israel's side?
Not surprised by that at all. And of course they're going to do that. They have to continue that storyline, because when the truth comes out, and the truth is there's tens of thousands of dead children and babies and women and elderly people that have been horrifically bombed and murdered and shot and blown apart and buried in buildings that have been destroyed. And when that truth comes out, they are going to have a very serious problem on their hands. So of course they're going to continue to attack Ro Khanna. They'll attack any person that goes over there to try to expose the truth, because look at what they did to all these journalists, Cenk. The IDF has murdered, I don't even know, hundreds of journalists and independent journalists trying to expose the horrors that happened in Gaza. But it's also in these areas. I've spoken to many Christians that live there, Palestinian Christians that get attacked, spit on, who they've had their homes stolen, their property destroyed. They are constantly being persecuted by the Israelis. And so it's not just Muslims, it's Christians as well. And it's, they're going to do everything they can to continue the narrative, because the truth is so ugly that this entire world will be shocked when they find out how horrific it is. I can't forget some of the stories I can't get past. One of them I can't get over is that an IDF soldier shot a woman sitting in a tent while she was nursing her baby. And I think the baby was shot as well. I mean, these are the stories, these are the real stories that have happened and have been happening for years. And Israel's going to do everything they possibly can to cover it up. And they will attack anybody that tries to expose the truth. And so is it a photo op or is it an actual mission? I think the truth is worth fighting for and exposing, especially when it comes to exposing the evils and the horrors that have been committed there. And look, October 7th was horrible. I'll go along with that too. And I have no problem saying that as well. I'm totally against murdering people and I'm totally against war. So both sides of it is horrific. But for them to try to turn everyone back on the propaganda train is the obvious thing they're going to continue to do. I never went on any of the AIPAC trips to Israel, so I never had to endure that kind of propaganda trip, thank God. And I never took their money, but they're going to continue to do that to any U.S. politician, whether it's federal, state, and even on the local level.
Yeah, so now some facts to back up what Representative Greene is saying. 250 journalists have been killed by Israel inside Gaza. That's according to the International Federation of Journalists. And Committee to Protect Journalists also says it's well over 200 journalists murdered by Israel. American doctors come back and say that there are sniper shots to the head and chest of children. A shocking percentage of the children that were brought in had those. They were assassinated by IDF snipers. These are clearly terrorists. Here's who else backs this up. The Israeli press, the oldest paper in Israel is Haaretz. Their editorial board said that Ro Khanna was totally right. They added this at the end of their story. Thus, in addition to the security forces, which must come to their senses and resume dealing with such nationalist crimes, we also need protective intervention, either American or European, that will increase pressure on the government until the pogroms by law-breaking settlers come to an end. So while our American press lies to you about how all of this is no big deal and Israel's done nothing wrong, the Israeli press says, no, it's a pogrom what they're doing in the West Bank and what Ro Khanna was trying to expose. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets its wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.